What is going on there, everyone? Well, we all know Joe Biden is super gaffe prone, and we'll go through a couple of his most recent gaffes. But I tell you what he said here is something that I've pondered for quite some time. But I can tell you, as of right now, with the way the Democratic Party has been acting, I don't know if there's any Republican, you know, that would be willing to even entertain this thought. So let's jump into this story. And this is actually from CNN Politics, which I don't use CNN that much because CNN's generally garbage. That said, their website actually is a little bit better than anything. Well, it's a whole lot better, honestly, than anything you'll see on their television programs. But let's get into this. Joe Biden says he would consider a Republican for his running mate. Yeah, if you're shocked and stunned by that, I was too. But let's get into the story. Let's see what he's saying. Joe Biden told voters in New Hampshire on Monday that he would consider choosing a Republican as his running mate, but added, "I can't think of one right now." Biden discussed the possibility after a woman told the former vice president that if he is the nominee, he will have to pull out all the stops. Well, it looks like the Democrats that are running are pulling out all their stops, and it's not working out for them real well. Our 21-year-old son said the other night, "I wonder if Joe Biden would consider choosing a Republican as a running mate," the woman added. "The answer is I would, but I can't think of one now," Biden replied. "Let me explain that. You know, there's some really decent Republicans that are out there still. Yeah, as if we've changed so much. Yeah, the Republicans haven't been changing. Hate to tell you, all the graphs and everything that I've been seeing shows the Republicans are kind of center-right, and the left has gone so far to the left that they're almost off the charts. So, I don't know why that would be so strange. But, yeah. There's plenty of decent Republicans. The problem is finding a decent Democrat nowadays. Over the past few months, Biden has offered several clues about who he might consider as his vice presidential pick if he earns the Democratic nomination. He previously said he would prefer to pick someone of color and or of a different gender. You know, to pander. Not because their color or them being a woman or something like that has any actual real meaning behind it, you know. It's just a pander. That's what I want out of a president. Aye. But, yeah, he previously said he would pick someone of color or a different gender as his potential running mate. Biden also acknowledged that he was thinking about adding Senator Kamala Harris of California and Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts to his possible ticket. Well, you better be careful. You better be careful what you say, because Elizabeth Warren's still running against you in this. So, if that's kind of your goal, it doesn't seem that Kamala Harris, she was the first one to ever attack you at a debate. So I don't know if she truly likes all of what you're putting down. But it would be pretty silly of me to say that I've seen or I haven't seen crazier things happen. Whoever I would pick for vice president, and there's a lot of qualified women, there are a lot of qualified African Americans. There really, truly are. There's a plethora of really qualified people. Whomever I would pick, were I fortunate enough to become your nominee, I'd pick somebody who wasn't sympathetico with me. Okay, we'll just say sympathetic with me. I don't know. Who knew what my priorities were, and knew what I wanted to. Weird way of stating it. Biden said in X-Theater on Monday, "We could disagree on tactic, but strategically we'd have to be in the exact same page." Okay, so where would that, how would that work to entertain the possibility of having a Republican vice president? How would that work if you would have to be on the exact same page, that wouldn't happen. So really, just by that statement right there, when it came to talking about Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris, right there, he pretty much shot down the actual argument of, would you possibly think that running a Republican vice president would be a good idea? So no, obviously not, because you're not going to find any Republican that's going to agree exactly on the same page with you over any of your liberal policies. Sorry, your policies are garbage. That's primarily why y'all haven't been talking about them. And when you do, you get kind of laughed at. Sorry, that's just the truth. No modern presidential campaign has featured a bipartisan ticket. The late Senator John McCain, the Republican presidential nominee in 2008, considered former Senator Joe Lieberman, a Democrat turned independent, as a possible running mate before settling on Alaska government Sarah Palin, which was also not a good choice as his vice presidential pick. Yeah, Sarah Palin, she was not a good look. She's a little too nonchalant about things, not as professional as she should be, among other problems with her. But Joe. But let's get into some other stuff that Joe did, because this has all happened within the past couple of days. Remember this. Remember when the original Learn to Code came out? The left used it against the right, against these miners. Yes, everyone was fine with it then. And then the right came out and started using the Learn to Code to journalists that were failing. Yeah. Well, Learn to Code's back apparently, but now it's Learn to Program. Biden tells miners, learn to program in order to find jobs of the future. How well did that work out for Hillary Clinton, the whole Learn to Code thing, and attacking our miners and whatnot, and our oil and energy field workers? That didn't work out well at all. You think it's going to work out now that Trump has boosted these areas? Yeah, I don't think this is a good message, but let's get into this. I'm not going to read through this whole thing. 2020 Democratic frontrunner Joe Biden said miners need to find jobs of the future when talking about transitioning the economy away from fossil fuels. Anybody who can go down 300 to 3,000 feet in a mine can sure as hell learn to program as well. That's not true. And that shows your ignorance, Joe Biden. Just because someone's really, really good at manual labor doesn't mean they would be good in the technological realm at all. Yeah, some of these guys have been mining their whole lives, and yeah, that's all they know. So learning computer programming and all that stuff, that's not going to be an easy task for them. Sorry, it's just not. Biden said Monday during a campaign event in New Hampshire, anybody who can throw coal into a furnace can learn how to program, for God's sakes. That doesn't make any sense. You're firing. Here's your connectors. You're firing, and they're going off in different directions. I don't know what you're trying to say because it's not making sense. The correlation between manual labor and mental labor, which coding is pretty much all mental labor, yeah, you're two different planes here. Two different planes. You know what I'm saying, Joe? I doubt you do, because I don't think you know what you're saying. On Sunday, Biden also said he wanted to throw fossil fuel executives in prison for damaging the environment. Put them in jail, he said. I'm not joking about this. That's a good winning message right there. You pander, go ahead and keep on pandering to the far left progressive activist types. They'll sure win you that election. No, they won't. Sorry. Threatening to put executives in prison, yeah, that's going to work out real well for you. The comment came after the former vice president said that there would not be a single new coal plant made in the U.S. earlier this month. During the December Democratic debate, Biden said he was willing to end hundreds of thousands of jobs in the fossil fuel industry. this isn't just a Biden issue either. This is a Sanders issue too, because they both came out and said that pretty much they're making the same mistake Hillary Clinton made in 2016. When you go after our fossil fuel industry workers, you're genuinely making a very big mistake, because a lot of these people are in blue areas, and guess who you should be speaking to try to prop up? It's these people in these areas. Why are they Democratic areas? I couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you. Maybe because of their welfare programs and stuff like that, because a lot of these areas aren't doing that well. And whose fault is that? I can't say it's the Republicans. Can't say it's the Republicans, because one unfortunate piece of Republican thing is oil, and Republicans tend to love oil. Former Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton similarly vowed during 2016 election, "We're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business." Did you forget about this, Joe Biden? Because I'm pretty sure you did, or you wouldn't have been saying all those crazy hyperbolic things that you were saying. With her plan to replace fossil fuel-based energy production with renewable systems. After backlash, she later said the remark was her biggest mistake on the campaign trail. Yes, it was a huge mistake. I don't think it was the biggest. I think being Hillary Clinton, having that name, it was the biggest mistake on that campaign trail. But yes, that was huge. Like, that was huge. Because a lot of these coal workers, one of the big reasons that they always go vote Democratic is because of the unions that they're in. We all know unions and the Democrats are practically hand in hand, or at least they used to be. Things are changing a little bit there, with the Trump administration being quite friendly towards workers. So, yeah, that was a big mistake, and Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, for that matter, are parroting that mistake, probably much to the chagrin of the independents. But let's go to one last Biden thing. At a campaign rally, Biden promises something special for kids under 15. My God, Biden, I'm not going to blame you for being an idiot. You're an old man who's had brain surgery and some more stuff. You've had a pretty traumatic life when it comes to losses and all that stuff. So I can understand your head's, it's a battleground probably. But what about your campaign supervisors and whatnot? Do these people not tell you what to say, or what not to say for that matter, or are these people even on your side? Because god dang, y'all, you say some stupid stuff and no one's helping you out. At a campaign in Peterborough, New Hampshire on Monday, a Democratic presidential candidate, Joe Biden, thanked everybody under the age of 15 and promised them something special after his speech. I want to start off by thanking everybody under the age of 15. Well, you big kiddo. I don't think now how you got here. What? I don't think I know how you got here. Is maybe, but thank you. He says thank you. But after this is over, come up and talk to me. Everybody under 15, you get something special today, because this has got to be boring for you. Thank you. Although the audience laughed at the remarks, appeared innocuous, Biden's words could be seen otherwise in a broader context. Yes, because he's got a history of being very creepy with young people. Only on Sunday at another campaign stop in New Hampshire, Biden was stopped in his tracks by a heckler who shouted, "Don't touch kids, you pervert." And there it is. Yes, Biden has had a quite public history of being rather creepy. I don't think he has any bad intentions. I just think he's a creep. Like, he's legitimately creepy, and he doesn't understand why we see it as such. But the former vice president has also made bizarre comments in the past about his engagement with children. In June 2017, he describes kids as rubbing the wet hair on his legs during the time he served as a pool lifeguard, which is creepy. I don't want kids to touch me, especially if they're other people's kids. That's even creepier. Ugh. I got hairy legs that turned blonde in the sun, Biden said. I'm not going to read that. That's just creepy. Biden entered his presidential campaign under the cloud of sexual misconduct allegations, including a complaint from former Democratic Nevada Assemblywoman Lucy Flores that Biden inappropriately kissed her and smelled her hair, and which he does like to smell women's hair. Very creepy. When asked about the incidents and others, Biden told The View, "Look, I'm really sorry for what I did in talking to them and trying to console them that in the fact they took it a different way. It's my responsibility to make sure that I bend over backwards to try to understand how not to do that." Well, you're still not quite figuring it out. Like I said, maybe, Joe, if you're not having these rallies pre-written out for you and all this stuff, maybe you should start. Because the words that you conjure up in your head, man, they come out bad. They come out terrible all the time. But really, I don't care. Keep on doing what you're doing, because I don't want you elected at all, because you and every other Democratic presidential candidate are toxic. You're fundamentally setting our country back with your proposals. So, no. Keep on saying all this stuff. I enjoy it. I think it's hilarious. You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. These are the people that we get to pick through. Good job, DNC. You really know how to pick your front runners. Because we all know that the American people aren't allowed to pick the Democratic front runners. God forbid that. You might see Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yangs and stuff like that up there. And I know y'all don't want that. But Joe Biden. He's got it bad. And things with this whole impeachment / non-impeachment that's happening right now. You know, the whole stalemate. I don't know what's going on. But I can tell you, it's not looking good for Biden, because Hunter Biden and him have really screwed themselves over with all their Ukrainian nonsense. And Hunter Biden's helping screw over Joe Biden by being even more in the news because of his little love child with that stripper, who now has Joe Biden's son Hunter under even more investigations for fraud, this, that, and the other. I tell you, it's not looking good for the Bidens as a whole. And I still stick with the point that the only reason Joe Biden even joined this presidential campaign is strictly for the fact that he knew things were heating up with the way him and his son were doing things in the Ukraine, and it scared them. So Joe had to do whatever he could to get the heat off of him. So now that he's a presidential nominee, you know, he can hide behind, oh, this is election meddling. But can't Trump say that about the impeachment inquiry? Can't he say that about the Mueller report? Can't he say that about the whole Ukrainian thing? This is all just Democratic election meddling for 2020? Yeah, he could. But I've ranted and raved long enough. I'd love to hear your comments as always. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. Let's beat those algorithms, because y'all are my only defense against the algorithms nowadays. The more y'all share, the more y'all hit the like button. That's what really matters nowadays. That's the way to keep us afloat up here, because YouTube itself doesn't want us talking. You know, they don't like when normal, everyday people are talking about politics. They don't like when people fact check anything. You know, if you're not CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, those are the news sources they want you to have, not us independent folks. But yeah, like, share, and subscribe. I will catch you all on the flip side.